received that is, you know, Flop told Etta, this is Rue. She needs to be given some patience, considering she went through something that scares the life out of her. And for Maple to essentially turn around and say that, you know, here's some waterfalls, and I thought we were dead. Here's some waterfalls, and, you know, Rue started making this horrible defense. We know where she stands. And essentially took Finn's side. But the reality is, if it involves Sanguine, Rue will always pick whoever's side is against Sanguine and against the Marshals. So how is your car always just smoking?
I'm smoking. Take your car though if we ever need to leave though.
You want to go for a ride? It's up to you.
Yeah, if you want to. There's only place I don't like about the Vinewood is the helicopter.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
Very neat.
I don't even know what this song is. Oh, this song.
That was a lot to unpack. I will say I was kind of selfishly miffed that I was told to leave.
I asked for you to be back, and Sean even mentioned it, and I said, no, she's good. I don't know exactly what the reason was, like the specific thing that he wanted to say away from others, but I wanted you there regardless. To be honest with you, when you walked in, you didn't really miss much up to that point. Are you aware as to what happened prior to being there?
I am not aware. Something to do with that?
Yeah. It sounded like it was a very like on a whim thing. Because it sounds like not a lot of people knew except for the people that were around at that current given time. So, they went after Etta. Sean was tired of how the personal family stuff has affected the club stuff between Ziggy and Rue. And he feels very strongly that the effect that it's had on the club and their positions in the club led him to feel this, I guess, certain way about doing what he did, which was to stab Etta, have Ivy stab Etta, and carve victim into her back. Truthfully, it upsets me. I'm not mad at anybody, but I've known Etta my whole life. My current knowledge life of knowing the people around me, I've known Etta for an extended period of time in that. And it involves the family, which is personal. And I already know sort of how people feel about things. I have been very understanding of the reasoning as to why things happen. And when I heard something happen to Etta, my immediate response, not to Etta or Maple directly, but was more to myself, my my inner monologue was that the club doesn't do anything without a reason. And I said that there had to be a reason as to why it was specifically toward Etta. Reality is something happened yesterday. It caused a little turmoil. The way that it affected either Rue and or Ziggy or whoever. Sounds like it was kind of a mix. Was the, as Sean put it, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And I understand that things happen because there's an intended reason and purpose. But I also didn't lie to Sean. I told him flat out that, you know, I'm not ready. And I said that there are things that I'm still getting over. And I said I would never admit to having a future. And his words were, and I quote, "You should probably start considering that as a future." And I told Sean that I'm going the wrong way. I told Sean that I will never admit out loud to anybody that I ever have any intentions or plans. But there's not a day that goes by. There's not a day that goes by, Callie, where it is not on my mind. It will always be on my mind. And Sean made clear that it was, a lot of it was that, you know, the club doesn't see me because of Ziggy or Rue. They see me because they see me. And I appreciate that. I also found out today that Maple, and I'm going to presume Etta, don't know my family. And at the minimum, don't know Rue. Let me throw your keys just in case. There you go. Whatever happened yesterday, we'll go over here. I like this overlook. Do it, Tally. Do it, Tally. You want a cigarette?
Sure, I'll take one.
You can have what's left in this pack.
Okay.
Did you grab it? No. When I spoke with Maple today, he obviously expressed his hatred and frustrations to the club and obviously was very upset.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, nobody can actually reasonably see Maple having a rational response. In fact, I think most people would say that Maple had a rational response considering his fiance, person he loves, was just harmed by a group. I understand why the initial frustrations happen. I didn't comment on any of them, and I told him to focus on Etta right now. He gave me the very short version of whatever the hell happened yesterday. And I told him that, uh, he pretty much encapsulated the idea that his lack of trust with Rue was set in stone. I'm sorry, I was yawning. And it made me realize that I don't think he really ever got to know her, because his response was that apparently she sort of played victim and had a lot of fear factor over whatever happened yesterday. Granted, mind you, Tally, I don't have the specifics. I need to talk to Rue to hear from her. But
Mhm.
the one thing that was specifically stated, though, was that apparently Sanguine was brought up, and Rue had an outburst on, I believe it was Etta, and Etta took that very to heart, and Maple felt very strongly that, based on, I guess, other events that have happened, uh, family wise, that he didn't see a future where he was ever going to get to make things work with Rue. And I told him, I said, I think the problem is that you haven't given her a chance. And his claim is that he's been trying for months. But if he gave 5 minutes of a conversation with Rue, he would know that if there's anybody in the entire club, I'd say, who has an actual, reasonable, rational response to a tank that involves an outburst, it's probably Rue. It would be a 5 minute conversation with her, and you would learn that about her. You brought up the word Marshall. She would tell you exactly how she feels.
Mhm.
The fact that Maple didn't see that and didn't know that was enough of a definitive reason for me to believe, at least me personally, he didn't want to know Rue in the first place. And that's okay. What's not okay is I wish it just happened sooner and I didn't waste all this time trying. And as for Etta, I'll be honest, I still love her. I will always love her. I don't know what happened yesterday, but I want to hear from somebody who was actually there, not from Maple.
Yeah.
I want to believe that there's more to what happened yesterday than what was let on. Um, it's a really hard line for me to be in a position where I am 100% comfortable with everything that's gone on between today and the days before and so on and so forth. What happened today was personal, and that's okay. But I did tell Sean that, contrary to what happened today, I understand why it happened. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it, but unlike a lot of people, I at least understand.
Mhm.
I know what I signed up for. I know what I'm surrounded by. So long as everybody is understanding that I still have 4 years of my life that I'm slowly working to get over. I mean, I'm not I don't want anyone turning around, seeing me, and immediately going, you know what? He quit. He can say fuck it all and do whatever the fuck he wants. But the reality is they're right. I can. The difference is that I didn't leave with a vendetta. I left still loving my job
And your family.
and my family.
You'll always love your family. That's just who you are.
Hmm.
Do you think differently of Ivy or Sean for what they did to Etta?
Sean was straight up about it and very blunt. Sometimes the blunt answer is appreciated. Um,
Honesty is always key, yeah. I agree.
with Ivy, I understand why she did it, and I understand why she was there, and I understand it was a club order. I do, to some degree, maybe this is a little more of just a me thing. I was hoping she would understand maybe a little bit more that I understand the reasoning and why she was there and why what happened. I wish it was a little less flashy and in my face and literally handing me the knife that did it. Part of me probably would assume that it was a test. Um, Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but I'm sure she wanted to see how I reacted to that.
I can't speak to what Ivy intended.
I still respect her. Um, the hurdle with my family has been one of my biggest hurdles. It's contrary to what people may think or what people may know. My intention when I left was to be with my family. It was
Mhm.
to be with the people that I love and care about and to be surrounded by. In the minute I signed my life away to walk away from being a police officer, it was almost like a light switch that my father's distanced himself, that my family treated me differently, uh, that people no longer reached out to me. And I'm sure it's pretty obvious who I'm hanging out with, but it shouldn't change the fact that I'm still me.
Mhm.
Nothing has changed. And honestly, Tally, the part that's fucked me up the most was, and I unfortunately, the club response to this would be exactly, so fuck them, stop trying. It goes deeper than that for me, though, is that I'm not guilty for the people that I'm around. I'm either guilty by association or I'm guilty for trying to be happy. And there's not even an ounce of support that I've gotten from just about anybody. And what I told Sean in front of everybody that I will tell you, I forget if you were in the room for this. I think you were. If I wasn't, then you're going to hear it anyway. But
Mhm.
when I left the PD, it almost sounds easier to say that the way that I've been treated since, it almost feels like everybody else forgot that my reason for leaving was because I should have died right where we are standing, Tally. I should be dead. A bullet should have met my skull, and somebody should have found my corpse right where we are standing. And I was the luckiest person to walk away from that. I really was. The difference is that since I left and since that reasoning was there, the way I've been treated, I almost feel as if, and this is going to come off harsh, but I stand by what I say. It almost feels like my death would have been easier on the family. It's not about, well, I understand your traumatic response. It's not about, I know why you're doing the things that you're doing. It's, I have a problem with the things that you're doing. And instead of talking with you about it directly, uh, I'm going to make disgusting assumptions. And I've made clear to a lot of my family, Tally, that I will always love them and that won't change. If they want me out of their life, the ball is in their court. And the ball has been in their court for a very long time. This is where Hydra took
It's
me. So,
where this is where Hydra took you.
mm-hmm. This is where I made my phone call. And I told Etta that I loved her. And I hoped that I was able to see her again soon. And all I said was simply goodbye. What shocked me, though, was that I thought the goodbye would never have to come. Instead, the goodbye uh, seemingly has just been delayed, which I would have never seen in my foreseeable. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's just I didn't have a father, so I don't know what it's like to have a father. And my mom isn't quite the most affectionate person. But I do know what it feels like to be disappointed that the people that you put trust in and love in don't see you for who you are. And it's a lot easier for us on the outside to be like, fuck them. If they don't like you now, they don't deserve you ever. But the truth is, you've been through a lot with these people, including Etta. I mean, as much as I say I want to kick her teeth in, I don't know, unless it was a club thing. I don't know if I'd just go out of my way to do that on behalf of you because I know you would want that for her. this type of this type of relationship is hard, and especially not easy to. I have really no other word for break up with,
Hmm.
because as much as I don't want you to lose your family either, and even I tried telling him like, stop being dumb and just accept you for who you are or what you're. Not even who you are, because I feel like he accepts for who you are. It's just what you're doing and where you're possibly going. He doesn't like, but he doesn't have to like it. He just has to clap you on the shoulder, say, "Son, I'm proud of you. I'm here for you." And it ain't that hard. But I think he's twisted this into a my son is in danger. He doesn't know what he's doing. So I have to protect him in the way that I know how. It's all very convoluted. Not something I'm used to.
Hmm.
I could probably give a goddamn if my mom likes me or not. She's not much of a factor in my life. But I don't think your death would have been easy. Not on the family, not on Ziggy, not on Rue. Probably on me because I didn't know you back then, so I'd be fine.
Yeah, you would have walked
I'm,
away.
I'm joking.
You would have gotten away with it if you didn't know who I was. I think I think your mentality on Richard is correct. Sean already said he wanted me to pass the message along, but I wish he knew just how little I communicated with my family anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think it ends with Richard, and it would not shock me if it started to pick up with Sean, specifically Maple. There is nothing I can do to stop that outcome. And I know that nobody in the club would expect me to stop that outcome. The club's expectation is that they know the risk and will stop before it has a chance to flourish. But I just don't know what that's going to foresee and be.
Let's say, because I don't even know what's gonna happen. I didn't even know this was gonna happen. I'm not even entirely sure how I feel about this happening in general. But let's say there's a scenario in which we hunt down your fathers. I don't know if Maple and Etta. Well, I mean, Etta obviously just got carved up, so there's that. And not just so much on your behalf, but like on behalf of Ziggy and Rue, because I'm gonna let you know right now, Rue isn't doing well. I'm sure you know this, but she's a lot more fucked up than I think people are seeing. Because that girl has not cried since Jesse died.
I know. I've been trying so
And if
fucking hard with her too, and I just
and and if I'm a mess, that girl's fucked up 2 ways a Sunday.
Mm.
And she keeps asking, she keeps asking me how I'm doing. I keep kind of blowing it off because I don't like it when people who haven't dealt with their own shit try to help others. Because I'd rather she be grieving. Because she can't do shit for me. I mean, I'm just gonna grieve. That's all I'm gonna do.
Mm.
I'm not hiding that I'm a loss without Jesse. Blech. Stop. No, we ain't gonna bring her up here. No, this ain't about Jesse. Fucking cunt. But I just wanted to know if we ever did. Would you think badly about the club? If I shot your father in the head, I mean, I'm not. I would never, first of all, hand you a bullet or the gun that did it. I'm not that flashy or dramatic. I don't keep trinkets, by the way. We're not. We are not serial killers. Flop dugong.
Tell that to Ivy. Jesus Christ.
Tell the rest of these motherfuckers. They be keeping shit.
Mm-hmm. Goddamn trophies. Nana
There's a whole. We're a goddamn island. Throw that shit out, bruh.
Nana literally kept hair from Chastity.
That's okay. Someone else has a knuckle of their ex, and
Mm.
that just blew my mind.
Well, to answer that, I'll say this much. The context as to what the reason was to go after them matters.
Mm-hmm.
And two, if it was something regarding me or my family, um, I would have a very, 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 very hard time with it.
Yeah.
But I know it wouldn't be just on a whim for fun. There would be a reason for it. And bear with me. Excuse me. Um, Even the other day with when I got pulled over and I was with Rue and I made the comment on the radio. I realized I probably scared a couple people. I wasn't trying to. But I told Rue to get back in the car and to, just not do anything because she was clearly agitated with two people. I mean, granted, one of them was. I'm drawing a blank on his fucking name right now. He's the one that pissed her off when I was in the ICU. Um, I'm too cooked right now. It doesn't matter. And a BCSO officer. And I got away with the ticket. And I'm sorry. It's all catching up to me.
Yeah,
Holy
yeah, you
fuck.
are.
Um, but when we got in the car and I drove away, I kind of had an outburst on her, and I probably shouldn't have. And looking back, I should have treated it a little differently, but I think my response on it was fair. I told her that, essentially, I don't know if I would have ever been able to uh, forgive her, essentially, if something were to happen there. If she were to try and attack the officer, because I was the one driving.
Mm.
I told her, I said, with all due respect, I know the club is going out and doing their thing with the police, and I know that you guys are, at least at the time, were upping your aggression with the police. And I get it. But I told Rue, I said, I'm not privy to your guys' response. I'm not knowledge in how you all feel. I know everyone's grieving in a different way. I said, I know you're grieving in a different way. I know Hallie's grieving in a different way. I said, I get it. I fully understand. And I said, I know that it's been a beyond courtesy that people even let me down by the block. I told her, though, I said, I just want to reminded her. I reminded her, I said, I'm not in the club. I don't know that information because I'm not privy to have to know that information. I told her, though, I said, if you had done something to the officer, I would have been ready to flee without question.
For sure.
But the moment that that were to happen, I am now an accomplice to it all. I said, there's still people, a couple that I do care about in the PD that I know either are, will, or could be hurt in the time frame that I know you guys have been going out and attacking. And at least right now, while I find ways of trying to understand it, um, all I asked was I didn't want to know about it. And I told her that the moment that I'm involved, I'm going to have to be involved to know about it because I would have been the accomplice. So I told her, I said, I didn't intend to tell her that I would never trust her again or that I would never forgive her for it. It was more the idea that I wanted to remind her that the club is still the club and I am still me as of right now. And so long as that stays that way, I am not privy to have to know that information. Now, the Etta situation is different because the Etta situation was a direct threat to my family because of the way that it's resulted with Rue and the way it's resulted with Ziggy. And my hardest thing that I have to deal with right now um, is knowing that neither of them are aware as to what happened to Etta today and knowing that I'm going to have to explain this to them. I understand why it happened. This goes beyond any rift in my family. This was the end of the chapter. And I might be the only person on my side of the family who has accepted that. I have for a very long time, Tally. And unfortunately, I don't know if Rue and Ziggy have come to terms with that themselves. To be honest, haven't asked them to formulate an opinion with me on my feelings. I've asked them to kind of have their own feelings, and I haven't really asked them about it. So I don't know exactly what it is, but
They're a lot more devastated than what you're putting forward,
about the
which
family.
is interesting. Yeah, but you also are kind of like me in a sense. Like I suffer in silence. Ziggy and Rue are, well, especially Rue. I mean, she's just now getting a family, and she's just now learning what a family is supposed to look like, and and this is basically a divorce of some sort. So, what do kids always do when there's divorce? They blame themselves for it.
Mm-hmm.
She probably feels guilty. I'm not saying she is guilty of doing anything. To be fair, there's no guilty party in divorces. It's just two people or a group of people that just
Have
are
it.
splitting up.
Yeah.
Do I believe you when you say that you've accepted this? I think so. I think you understand logically what this means. But I mean, I'll believe. I mean, you emotionally understood that you're stepping up. you're mutually, I guess, mutually stepping away. Not really mutually, but you know what I mean. You're drifting apart.
Mhm.
You're possibly losing your fathers. As much as I don't like that for you, and I don't, and I really hope that it's not a real breaking asunder. But I do also agree that Ziggy and Rue are taking this, at least outwardly, a lot harder than you are.
I think the reality is, I think they're taking it exactly how I took it. The difference is that, and some people may say that it's uh, sociopathic behavior, I guess you could say. But it goes beyond that. It's kind of like when you lose an animal, right? You lose the family pet. You have a dog that passes away.
That old Yeller.
I know, right? Old Yeller. A month later, you think about that dog, you're probably going to tear up. 2 months later, you're probably going to still weep a little bit over the idea of losing that dog. 4 months later, 5 months later, 6 months later, you're probably going to find the acceptance to understand the goodbye and remember the good times. I think in a large portion and way, I have been the glue to a lot of my family. I think that Rue and Ziggy are just as important in the family as I am. In the eyes of the entire family, though, the way they see it is that Flop quit the PD and is hanging out with the ADMC, the same group that Rue and Ziggy are in. And if I were a gambling man, I'd probably say, with pretty confident odds, if anybody has an opinion on my side of the family, their immediate assumption is going to be that I chose this life because I was manipulated by my husband or my daughter. The reality is that I said goodbye months ago. I saw where this was going before I ever left the PD. I saw the light at the end of this tunnel well before I ever submitted my 2 weeks notice. And I told myself that if given the opportunity to pick my father's or anyone else in my family, when pit up against Rue and Ziggy, it would be them every single time. And I'm confident in that. If in a family perspective, I had to pick one or the other, it will always be them. And the
I
fact that
guess fuck
I'm,
Hank.
well, I mean, Hank's there. Hank's like the cameo. You know what I mean? Like every season he has like 3 times. He's like Kenny in South Park. You know what I mean?
Just keeps dying.
Yeah, he just disappears, and then every once in a while he just comes back, and hey,
Oh, hey,
Kenny,
it's Kenny.
Kenny, hey.
Oh yeah, I have a son.
Yeah. No, I do feel bad that I leave him out, but
I know what you mean.
you know
It's
what I
just so
mean.
funny.
Um, I have come to terms with that specifically, and I think the thing that they might be fighting for, and I'm speculating completely when I say this, so please take this with a grain of salt.
Mhm.
I think what Ziggy and Rue may be more concerned about is that they don't want that shift of blame to be a burden on me. And I think they want things to work because they don't ever want that to be a reality. The difference is that I see it as a reality already. And I've already accepted that when the time comes, I know where I stand. I know I'm going to break hearts. I know people are going to be upset with me. I know I might lose the real foundations that I actually have. And for me, that is okay. I made a promise to my side of the family. I knew Ziggy well before he was ever in an MC. And
Mhm.
I know Rue well enough to know that the people that she's ever put trust in have, you know, at least most of the time outside of a club setting have abandoned her. And I promised her that I would never, me personally, put her through what Solomon put her through. I will never leave Ziggy because I don't love him for what he is. I love him for who he is. I stand by that. And I guess somewhere in the
Yeah.
mix, I guess I fucking love Hank. But, you know,
No.
he's aight. He a good one. He a real one. But I know what I love in my life. I know the people I care about in my life. I will always love my fathers. I will always love my family. If they choose that I'm too much for them, I'd rather them tell me to my face. My response will always be the same. I will continue to love and care about you, whether you do or not. But if this is goodbye, then give me a chance to say it.
Have Ziggy and Rue come to terms with losing that side of the family?
Come
'Cause
to
I mean, possibly Etta. I mean, I don't think Rue and Etta are ever going to be a thing. And I don't
no.
know what Ziggy's relationship is with Etta other than tolerance. But I guess I'm mostly talking about at least Dark because I really don't know about much about Richard. I haven't really seen him that much around.
Richard or Matt?
Whichever one is at the Marshalls.
Richard's with the Marshalls.
Okay, Matt. Okay, Matt. I don't know much about, but Richard. She seems just she wants a relation. At least Rue does wants a relationship with him as his grandfather. But I'm wondering, is this harder with those two still going after, not going after, but like trying to build something with them when it seems like you're at least in the front decoupling from each other. Does that make sense? It seems like Ziggy and Rue are still pining over this ideal family life where everyone can just be together and fine and just accept each other. Whereas it seems like you've already started to move on, but they haven't. Have you talked to them about that? Have you said like,
It's come
I
up.
think it's time that we move on from this?
It's it's come up briefly,
Mhm.
not in like full clear descriptive detail. I haven't like laid it out very bluntly for anybody. Also, do you have anything to drink and eat?
Oh yeah, I got food.
Thank God. Um I don't think I've necessarily had that blunt conversation yet. Oh my
Uh-huh.
God, thank you. I don't think, how do I say this? Ziggy and Rue are very well versed in my opinions and feelings,
Hmm.
and know that if a condition were to be made, it's them every time. And I think they understand that boundary that I have, that I'm willing to split that boundary. I don't think I ever really had the opportunity to uh, tell them that I think we're at a point where we need to move on, but I think I need to have that conversation as early as yesterday, if possible.
It's a shitty conversation,
Yeah.
but honest, it's good to move as a unit rather than let people come to terms with it on their own things. Because there's things that both of them have not come to terms with on their own personal levels of shit. So
Yeah. I think after they find out what happened today, I think there's going to be a lot of strong opinions.
yeah,
And I think I'm going to have to be honest with them today and just tell them that, listen, there really isn't anything else to say. Tell them you love them and move on.
yeah, you can love someone and not be with them. You could wish them safety and happiness, and at the very least, be cordial. But that doesn't mean that they have to be involved in your life. And I'm glad that you're still keeping to your guns of like you need time.
I do. I don't want to rush into this because
No,
there are predicaments that I absolutely don't know how I would handle yet.
Sean, I've been telling Sean and Edward that if the time ever did come that I want it to be known that I was going to take you on. And Sean asked me, "Do you think that he could just kill an innocent person? Like, if push came to shove, not even push came to shove, could you kill a chastity?"
After the dumb shit they did, holy fuck. It's really hard for me to not turn around and say she fucking deserved that.
But say you did, I mean, you would know the context to it because honestly, I feel the same way. There is no such thing as an innocent person that I've seen yet that we've killed. I mean, you do some dumb shit, you're gonna get hurt. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't know. I'm not Flop, but I can see it in him. But even I was thinking, like, Chastity wasn't that innocent in comparison. I mean, I don't know. Her friends were dumbasses.
I think the problem is that I think Chastity herself was relatively, how do I say this? I think Chastity herself was relatively innocent in her own ways,
Yeah.
but her friends were not her friends.
No.
Sage Carter, who told me, and I quote, "I'm from the streets," is the reason that she lives 6 feet under right now.
Mm-hmm.
Her friends got her killed.
Pick better friends, I guess.
There is no world or planet where you call the member or a member of a large group from a payphone threatens the life of somebody and says, you have 24 hours. And then is, shock Pikachu face.png. They came after us.
Oh my god, a 1%er is dangerous. Wow.
What?
Wow.
What in the fuck did they actually expect to happen? Were they
For us to
expecting?
be scared, I think. I don't fucking know, honestly.
I mean, I hate to be so harsh and so sinister in saying this, but after hearing Sage's statement, I'm like, okay, so she deserved everything that came her way, but it wasn't even her in particular that necessarily deserved it. The result of her shitty friends is the reason why she ended up that way.
Yeah.
And I'm harsh for it, but yeah, I do think that if a chastity situation came up, especially in that context, holy shit. I'm about to be fighting for my cat and mouse with the racing scene. I'm already trying to figure out if there's snakes in the scene, because if so, I'm going to start talking to people about taking care of people.
So see, you're not a sociopath because you're pretty reasonable. The people you don't want to see hurt are someone like Etta, but you wouldn't mind fucking up someone like Chastity who should have picked better friends. I don't think that's unreasonable. I don't think it's unreasonable to be protective of someone that you've known forever and who you basically call a sister. So I can totally see how getting this knife was not, oh, thank you for, sticking up for me and my family. It's probably like, you probably don't hate us. I'm not saying that you hate us, but it probably doesn't feel great that someone that you love got hurt.
I think that's what it is right now. I think the difference between you can tell me I'm wrong about this. Maybe I have a disgustingly gross outlook on this, and I'm kind of just making a last second assumption in a very poor way, and you can tell me otherwise. Um, the difference between a motor club and a family is that a motor club, from what I've seen, is a lot of people who represent the values that that club stands for. And to some respect and degree, I believe the ADMC, or at least all of you, seem to get along with each other incredibly well. Sort of,
For the majority.
yeah. Not saying everybody, but I think a good portion of you guys have, at least from what I've seen, are very good with each other.
We have each other's backs at the end of the day.
Yeah. Very similarly to the police department, where there were people who, honest to God, I wanted to throat punch and fucking throw down 6 flights of stairs and watch them uh, snap their vertebrae. But
Same.
in the field, I would still take a bullet for them and still have their back.
The
And
thing is, the thing is, I think the only difference between that and us is that that's you. I don't I don't believe that of the PD anymore. I may have believed that of the PD 5 years ago,
mhm,
but I don't believe that of the PD now. I believe that of you, Flop Dagong. If I was in the PD, you would have my back, and I believe that me as Tally Marks would have your back.
sure,
But that isn't because we PD. It's because you and I are close.
sure.
The thing is, with MCs, it doesn't matter how I feel about certain people. That's my sister. That's my brother. And I always have them.
Yeah.
We don't use the word family because I'm
It's
gonna be dead ass honest. The people who use the word family don't understand